वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So, we saw that the coming together of the five elements makes the different objects of the universe, and why things are changing. There is a whole phenomena which is things are emerging, things are getting destroyed, there is a sustenance, and different entities are endowed with different powers in different measures. Now, the next question is, Ataha enam kaushalya ashwalayanah prapacha Bhagwan kutaha eshaha pranaha jayate katham Atyaya asmin shariram atmanam va pravibhajya katham pratitishtate kena utkramate katham brahmam abhidhiyate katham adhyatmam iti.
Number which one?
Third question.
3.1.
Now, it's interesting. The next question is, okay, I understand that everything is a work of intelligence, which is Ishvara, is the cause of the universe. And everything is governed by it, and also the five elements from which different objects of the universe are made are also manifestation of Ishvara. But how do they, five elements you try to put together, how does it become alive? Right? You try to put water, air, fire, and then what? Earth and space together, and you make it as a living, sentient entity. How? So, there is the same Ishvara which makes everything also makes one more phenomena possible, and that is what we call prana. Prana. What is this prana? Prana is the external air, which is just an air. The minute you inhale it through your nose, it does a very, very specific function. And what is that function? To keep you alive. Life force. It's a life force. But actually, even suppose when a person, what we call, dies, the external air is there just as before. Your nostrils are also there just as before. So why the same air which was able to make the body alive or keep the functions going, the same air is not able to do the job anymore. Because there is this, that's why we use prana, and the prana is that there is some subtle function which your body is endowed with, which is able to convert the external air into what? Prana. Prana means that there is a certain conversion involved to what may keep the body alive. So, once that subtle function, when it is at work, we can say that the person is alive. While the person is alive, the prana does 5 functions. What are the 5 functions? One is what they say, what prana. Prana is simply inhaling the external air through your nostrils. And what it does, this inhaling the air, what it does is not just it keeps you alive, but it makes what your 5 sense organs operate. Even when the prana has left, there is still physical eye, there is still the physical ear, there is still physical nose, there is still physical taste, and there is still physical sense organ of touch. What happens when the prana is gone is what? The sense organs lose their capacity to do the job. The physical eye is not able to see. The ear is not able to hear. The nose is not able to smell. So that means the prana entering your body, not only it keeps the body alive, it what makes this prana, your 5 sense organs operating. So while your 5 sense organs operate, you're constantly what? That enables you to what? Interact with the universe. As I told you, without those 5, your 5 sense organs are your only point of entry through which you can interact with the external universe. What prana also does is, after the sense organs are working, every data that they have collected, the data reaches what? The brain. And brains have different centers. Different sensations are picked up by what? Different parts of the brain. And therefore, if one center is not working, your ability to what? Suppose, who are these, what we call blind people? Either they have eye defect or there is some center in their brain which is not able to what? Process. So this is what? The brain has corresponding centers which what? Are able to pick up the data which is provided by the senses and what? Process it. Now in that, while it is getting processed, we don't just process data. The human brain is made in a way we constantly try to make sense of what is happening. So that means we make stories of, the brain makes stories of what is happening. And that story includes what is the world, who am I, and what's that relationship and what it is doing to me. That's a story. And as we begin to every day, now suppose, how many different data you have received from morning till evening? How many? How many images have come in front of you? How many noises have come in front of you? How many smells have come in front of you? What is your recollection of all of them? Do you recollect everything? Not at all. So that means, yes, it gets processed, it gives you this vision, but what happens is, it doesn't get registered totally. But some things get registered. And as they get registered, they begin to have what, and then you have to make what, make sense of that. Now what happens is, there is a, what, all of us have what, selected registration, and that also then depends upon what we are interested in. This is why the first prayer, Bhadram Karne Behi Shunuyama Devaha. These ears are registering hundreds of things, but if your mind is the one which gets attracted to gossip, you will use these ears in what? Just for that. If some good things are happening, your attention is not available. You're not available. So that means, please understand, we make a choice of what gets registered. And as we do such a selective registration, then what happens is that registration creates our story. Suppose I have created a mindset of mine which is constantly only looking for problems, even externally. What happens is, my story becomes what? Life is full of problems, or people are highly problematic. So that means that selective registration, you have been given, please understand, range of data. You decide where you place yourself, and after having placed yourself, what you absorb. And after having absorbed, what story you make out of it. And that story that you have made, it will not only give you an image of yourself and the world, it will it will influence your decision making. That whole faculty of mind is also working because of the presence of prana. Without prana, the faculty of mind also cannot work. So that means prana works equally for everyone. It makes this brain function. But what you choose, how you use your brain, that is what your free will. Who are the people that you choose to be with? While you are with those people, what your mind is telling you. And based on that story, what further decisions you make in life, all that is entirely up to you. So there are people who can come to the retreat, especially when we do it in the ashram, and their whole mind is on, oh, the food is not good. It is gone there, it circles around, oh, it's too cold. The physical world is never going to be perfect. But it is where you tune in. Either your mind is so used to tuning into what? Problems. Or your mind is tuned into what? Opportunities. Opportunities. All of us, in some way, we have this tendency. Problems become like, I think that Vibha was saying. Media is, they know it very well. Masala is what? You present something. Even when you talk to somebody and they ask you, how are you? And you said, oh, everything is going fine. And things are doing really, their attention will waver. If you say, oh, but I had problem here, they'll start listening to you carefully. That means there is a mind which is more attracted to problem than what? Than just good, happy feelings, full of ideas, problem solving, enthusiasm. That conversion is needed. Please understand. Even if you want to solve the problems of the world, you need an enthusiastic mind. You need a creative mind. You need a problem solving mind. So that means prana makes the mind alive. And all the functions are given, but it's like, physical exercise. If I keep exercising one muscle, that muscle is going to become what? Strong. And if I not exercise the other muscle, it will become weak. So that means the human mind is born with 4 different functions, which prana makes alive. The first function is what we call as the data gets reported by the senses onto the mind, it creates what we call emotions. There is no human being who is not capable of what or who emoting. So that is one level of functioning. When the data gets reported because of the presence of prana, it creates certain emotions. That is, in Sanskrit, it is called manas. That faculty of mind which produces emotions is called manas. Then, it's not only the data that we receive produces only emotions. There is a certain cognitive capacity that we are endowed with, which enables us to process the data in a certain way. That processing capacity is called buddhi, which is your cognitive capacity. What does it mean when you go to school and you learn 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? Are you using your emoting mind? No, you are using what? Your cognitive mind to understand certain facts. And your inference, all this logical application, this is all faculty, the function of what we call buddhi, through which you understand things in the world. Then you have one more function of the mind, which is what we call chittam. What is chittam? Chittam is your ability to recollect. Memory. Without memory, please understand, you will not be able to function. Because you will never graduate from grade 2 to grade 3. Because by the time you learn 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, if you didn't have memory, you'll forget it. You'll not be able to build on anything. All your knowledge is built on your memory. In your professional life, when you make decisions, why? As you get more experience in this world, they pay you more or you get higher positions. Why? Because you have gone through those experiences which have left what? Memory and certain lessons, hopefully. And with those, you can make what? Hopefully better decisions. That is the function of memory. Now, this memory that we have has 2 sides. One is what we call the conscious memory. The other is what we call the unconscious memory. In psychological terms, we call it unconscious memory. What is this unconscious memory? The unconscious memory is especially when we are very young, we are born in a way that we are not capable of doing anything for ourselves. Neither you can help yourself to water, nor you can help yourself to food. Neither you can walk, nor you can speak. So that means you are totally at the mercy of what? Your caretaker for your survival. Totally. You can't survive without their help. When that condition is given, the intelligence provides you with one great ability, and that is an ability to trust your caretaker. You trust, there is an implicit trust, even though the baby is not, the brain is not yet developed to think, oh, I trust my caretaker. Somehow the child trusts that I'll be taken care of. And the people who he or she sees who are taking care of him are mostly what? Parents. So therefore, there is a natural what? Not only there is a biological connection, but there is what? A psychological connection. And that is in form of trust, which is so deep and so complete. Now, as the child begins to grow, the people who he trusts 100%, the child begins to see what? Some deviation or some violation of that trust. What does it mean? I thought that my mom is always, going to be so loving to me. But sometimes my mom seems, for me, the child, pays much more attention to my sister than me. What does it do? It confuses the child. It little bit violates my trust in the universe, because I don't always get what I need from my caretakers. My father sometimes is not available. Maybe the father is working really hard for my future, but the child doesn't know it. The child feels, oh, I love my father so much, but he's never there for me. So that means some stories of what violation of trust begin very early in life. Very, very early.
What age?
They say around between 2 to 5 you form your psyche. The data and the way you have processed those data. Now, suppose as a result of that, at a very young age, the fact that, I'll just give you a real example. So I have a friend, and both her parents were doctors, are doctors, and they used to leave home very early in the morning, and they were very busy, so they would come at night. And this woman, she tells me, as a child, they were really nice, two very, very good human beings. Said, I felt abundant. That my parents were not there for me. Her sister and her brother didn't feel like that. But in her, now, when you feel abundant, when you have total trust, and that trust that my parents will look after me, and that gets violated, what happens? It leaves a very deep scar in you. And as a child, you are not able to handle it. It's too much for a little child of 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old to handle, feeling that the people that I trust the most, people who are my caretakers, are not doing the job properly. And then this feeling of being abandoned, somehow there is a mechanism in the brain that it gets pushed into the unconscious. Because the child's brain is not yet developed to deal with this huge violation of trust. This is what we call the unconscious. Unconscious means that there is some capacity in the universe, in the intelligence, to block that information so that the child can carry on. But what happens is this feeling of abandonment, which is gone into the unconscious, which was so appropriate for that child's survival at that given point in time. The universe is designed in a way that as the child grows up, the child is able to given the opportunity to reconcile this fact with different data. You're given that capacity. So the same child, for example, by the time the child reaches 16, 17, the child can reprocess the same data and the child can say, hey, actually my parents were not really abandoning me. My parents were just working hard and they were just supporting me and they were just going out there to earn money. And while they were there, they were nice. So you are given that opportunity to do the correction. The intelligence gives you an opportunity to do that correction. But unfortunately, most of us don't do that correction. When we don't do that correction at an appropriate age of 16, 17, 20, 21, we are stuck with the feeling of being abandoned. In this case, everybody can have different issues. Now, when you're stuck with this feeling which is lying deep inside you, and you don't even know that it is there, and you don't even know how it is affecting you, but it continues to affect you. How does it affect you? When you meet different people in life, suppose at 17, 18 you have a boyfriend. And that boyfriend maybe just at a young age you just you go to a party and you talk to everyone. But in your vision, suppose you went to a party and your boyfriend was talking to somebody else. What are the thoughts that come to your mind about that? That, oh, he likes her much more. Oh, he doesn't love me enough. And you convince yourself that it is coming from him. Because what is the data? The data is that while you're in a party, he is talking to somebody. That is the data. But what is by the time it reaches you, and how do you interpret it? That he's abandoning me for somebody else. This is what we call distortions. These distortions they will destroy you. Why? Because that person, after the party is over, that person is just, in fact, still likes you. And it's just as any teenager would talk to everyone, right after the party, all the accusations start. You were spending so much time with her, and you were not giving enough attention to me. And then starts Big fight. You blame that person, that person what blames you, that you are so insecure. And this is how the whole thing starts. It keeps interfering in the way you process the data. But you don't even realize that it is the data is correct, your processing is wrong. Data is a fact. Your processing is all topsy-turvy. But you don't recognize that it is my processing which is at fault. You think what the person is at fault. You're hooked. Your life is in a negative spiral. You will destroy yourself and you'll destroy everybody else. Then you keep saying, oh yeah, that person is, she's really playing game with me, and that person is really like this. You convince, you just, that distortion goes on increasing in magnitude, in degrees. And it really, your peace is all lost. And the person who is with you cannot stand being with you. Because you don't want to be stuck with people whose thinking is distorted. You want to be with good, clean, cheerful people. That is what attracts. Why do you think saints, good human, evolved human beings attract so many people? Why? People like to deal with people who are non-complex. Where they feel safe. Where they feel there are no games being played. Where they can be themselves.
So all these problems are created from the mind.
Absolutely.
The mind is not powerful enough. The intellect is not controlling the mind.
Absolutely. So that means this unconscious memory continues to govern you. What is the way out?
Strong input.
You have another faculty, which is what? Intellect. If you use this intellect properly, the same intellect which is producing distorted thoughts, the same intellect can undo those distorted thoughts.
Is it same as logic?
Logic and, yeah, exactly. So you get the same faculty of reasoning that you use to create all distorted things. The same thinking, the logical capacity in your brain can actually be used to undo this whole thing. That capacity is given to you.
So what is it called in Sanskrit?
That is, the chittam is, one is what we call, the conscious part of memory is called chittam. The flip side of this is called kashaya. Kashaya means there is some thing which is giving you this, that your ability to process the data is all convoluted, distorted.
Chittam is ability to recollect. Then what is intellect?
The cognitive capacity. Your 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 is intellect. Is buddhi. And chittam is memory. And memory has two sides. One is what we call conscious memory. The other one is unconscious memory.
You said there are 4 functions. One is emotion, one is buddhi, one is chittam, and what is the 4th?
Yeah, but I'm finishing the third one. Please be. I'm still talking about the third one.
So intellect belongs to the third one.
Sorry?
So intellect belongs to the third one.
Third
No,
one, yeah.
no. Manas,
Yeah.
which is emotions. Second is intellect, which is buddhi. Then the third is chittam, which is memory. Memory has 2 parts. One is the conscious memory. What is the example that I gave of conscious memory? A CEO making a decision when you draw from your experiences is your conscious memory. What is the unconscious memory?
From experience.
All these this feeling of abandonment, which continue to interfere with your data processing. And this is why when you receive this knowledge, if your mind is distorted, it is used to twisting the thing, it will never get what it is, what this knowledge is saying. Never get it. Because by the time the information reaches you, there is some distortion that takes place in your processing ability. This is why you need preparation for Vedanta. If you have a distorted mind, this knowledge will, there is a protection of this intelligence. Lord Krishna says, until you are prepared, this knowledge will not enter. You need to, that means you need to make that part of your preparation for this knowledge. You need to make your buddhi non-distorted.
That's why they said you use your mind only 12%. 88% is.
But one thing you mentioned, you can have a very strong mathematical logic and weak intellect. Yeah.
No, so I mean, I don't know how you're defining. See, you can have a logical mind, but the intellect is logical mind. But what I'm saying is, if you have so many other distortions, then what happens is your decision making gets all convoluted. That's what you're saying. So that's why these deep beliefs that we carry, confusion of values that we carry, it all interferes in our decision making, even if you have logical mind.
It's no understanding of them.
Exactly.
No understanding.
No understanding.
Your logical mind can help you create a bomb, but intellect can stop you from using it.
So that means, please understand. And then there is a fourth faculty, and that is what we call ahankara. What is this ahankara? The ahankara is...
Where is ahankara fits into intellect? See?
No.
Fourth one.
The mind has 4 functions. What is the first function? Manas, emotion. What is the second function? Buddhi, intellect. The third function is chittam. Chittam is subdivided into 2. Conscious memory and unconscious memory. And what is the fourth function? Ahankara. What is this ahankara? What happens is, as all these thought processes are happening, they are not just happening up in the air, they all get related to I, your sense of I. Suppose a given external situation produces, let's say, some joy in you. Not only you experience the emotion of joy, you tell yourself that what I am happy. That means your I am gets connected to what? That feeling of joy. That is what? Transient. It comes. Suppose something else happens which disturbs you. Now what is the next stimuli gives you a next emotion. And what is the next emotion? Sad. So that means it's correct. One stimuli gives you the experience of happiness. The next stimuli gives you the experience of sadness. But what happens is both of these get connected to what I am. I am sad, and then what? I am happy. This faculty of your mind which connects everything, whatever is happening in any of the other 3 functions to I am, is called ahankara. And because of the presence of this ahankara, you develop a self-identity. Because each thought is transient. There is no thought which stays in your mind for more than a second. Every thought is constantly in flux. and it just keeps going. But what you do is relate everything that is going to what this I am. So this I am becomes as though what? A very stable, concrete entity. Even though it's constantly changing, one thing remains constant, what? I am. So suppose your emotions are changing and you say what? I am happy, I am sad. Suppose you have good cognitive capacity, you still attribute it to I am by saying what? I am intelligent. You have your memories which are producing frames, and then you said, oh, when I was 10 years old, I did this. Or even your feeling of this feeling of abandonment is what? I was abundant. All the three functions, there is a what? Like one center where they all get connected. And that is what we call I. Then they all get connected as what? I am. This is who I am. And it gives you the sense of identity. This is called ahankara. One function of the mind. Prana makes it all possible. Please understand, this air which is entering into your through the nostril is not just entering like that. It is enabling you to do all these functions, work of Ishvara. After having entered, it enlivens what? Your sense organs. It makes your brain function. It makes the four functions of the brain function. It gives you an opportunity to process everything, either rightly or wrongly. And if you are processing it wrongly, then what? Correcting it. All this is work of intelligence. This is the function of prana. Then within Pancha Prana, there are 5 functions. The first is prana, the second is apana. What is the time? More time. Okay. So I will do this next time in the evening. So what are the functions of prana? What all it enables you to do? Huh? This is all prana is inhaling, and that is what is it doing? 5 sense organs it activates, and also 4 functions of the mind it activates. Then there is apana, what it does. You will see. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari